There's nothing like the feeling when a client comes to you, especially one that you've kind of grown a relationship with, and they come to you and they say, I reached my goal. Seeing all those transformations, weight loss on the scale and the non-scale victories are just, it's just the best feeling knowing that. And then they come to you saying, I'm so grateful for you. It's just like, I could cry thinking about it. But it's such an amazing thing to be able to call this our job. It doesn't feel like a job. It feels like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
So you have a passion for fitness and the desire to start your own business. But launching a massively successful fitness business is extremely complex. The systems, operations, hiring, firing, coaching, sales, and marketing are critical to success. Where do you even start? This show will give you the answers. Here is Bedros Keuilian and Bryce Henson, your hosts of the Fitness Franchise Podcast, a show dedicated to helping fitness entrepreneurs launch and grow successful gyms.
Welcome back, friends, to another incredible episode, as today's guest is a dear friend of mine. She's also the facility leader and a full-time coach at our Yorba Linda Fit Body Bootcamp location. Now, she's been coaching full-time since early 2019. She has an athletic background. She's a competitive dancer. She's a fitness enthusiast, a fitness model, and she also has her own skincare business. Miss Alicia Pinkney, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm excited too.
Good. Well, we have a lot to cover today. The whole goal here is to showcase to our audience what it's like being a full-time coach, the ins and outs of that. But before we do, why don't you give our audience a little backstory how it all came to be?
Sure. Okay, so I got my degree in human resources back in 2008 from Cal Poly Pomona, and I've always loved working with people. I love people. I've always been a people person. So I took that route naturally, and I ended up working in human resources. I enjoyed it. I was working for a mortgage company, so a little bit of a volatile industry in the mortgage industry. But
was that after 2008, I would imagine?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, 2012, I believe, is when I started there.
So a few years after the crash.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. And then I enjoyed it. I've always had a passion for fitness on the side. I've always been into fitness. Growing up, like you mentioned, I danced nonstop, both competitively, just for fun. That started when I was 7, then all the way through college. So I was busy with that, but then real life happens, and then you grow up, get out of college, and realize, okay, well, I can't be dancing, as much as I have been. So I needed to get a little bit more involved in fitness, join a gym, something like that. So
weren't you always incredibly fit?
Yes. Yes, incredibly fit. Definitely always into fitness, but I didn't really start like gym workouts until I would say around college, believe it or not.
So all dance.
Dance kept me going, and that was like 5 days a week, couple hours a day. So that kept me busy, kept me in shape. And then I joined the gym. I really enjoyed it, but I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, until you know what Fit Body is, you don't really know what a great workout is. So I'd say I enjoyed what I did, cardio, a little bit of weight training, nothing too intense, but always had a passion for fitness. And I, in the back of my mind, always thought, well, maybe I can do something in fitness, maybe I can. But it was always just like an inkling way back there. It was never like maybe you should pursue this, because you think I need to have a regular 8 to 5 job in the corporate world, and that's the only way you can be successful.
Right.
So I actually ended up, it was a blessing in disguise. I got laid off from my human resources position almost 5 years after being there. So back in the beginning of 2017, got laid off. Of course, I was devastated. Panic set in. I was a little bit nervous about next steps. Where am I going to go from here? And then I thought, well, maybe this is a great opportunity to lay some new foundation. Now I can do anything that I want. Still thinking there were some limitations there. So I was thinking maybe still HR, but I really love fitness. So I had moved out to Anaheim Hills, Yorba Linda area, and in doing so, I was working out at a gym out there, a big box gym, and met somebody who who actually is the reason why I get to work with you guys at Fit Body.
Friend.
Yes. Yeah. So one day she was teaching classes over at the gym. So one day after class, and her and I were just kind of acquaintances. We weren't too close to friends or anything like that. But I happened to just be walking out with her, just chatting. Somehow we got on the topic of how did you get into doing this? And I'd love to do something like this, but I can be a little bit shy and timid. So I just thought, I don't know if I have it in me. She's like, well, we have, my owners are looking for another coach at a boot camp that I work at. Would you want me to send them your information? And I was like, sure. Let's give it a go. Let's try it. All sorts of reservations. I had, all kinds of, I was nervous about what was this going to entail. I've never been involved in something like this before. I love fitness. The thought of helping others when they're on their fitness journey sounds amazing. But I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect. And so I just took a step back for a second and I thought, let me just, what's the harm in giving my information for her to pass along? Maybe something's going to come of this. And so she gave the information to you and Tatiana, and I ended up having an interview. They said, we'd love to have you join us as an intern coach. And I thought, okay, we'll see how this goes. But, I heard that, you got to be on a mic, you got to lead a room full of people. Then I started getting a little bit nervous again, thinking that I didn't have it in me.
But you have it in you, that is for sure.
Yep, here we are. So very, 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 very thankful. So that's kind of how I got into the fitness industry, working as a coach. So.
I love it. Well, lots to unpack there. And this is interesting. We were just talking, I guess, on Saturday after I attended your Saturday session. Right. So I do every other week, and such a great session, such great energy, enthusiasm. One of the things I told you afterwards is like your communication, your clarity of the explanation demo is like so on point. And you stopped and you're like, isn't it so different when I first started? And I was like, Alicia, I even forgot that when you first started because you've come such a long way. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Like share with the audience, because a lot of times, at least I'm in the same position, they think like in order to be a fitness coach, you need to have all these credentials and the experience in the industry for that long, and there's always that self-limiting doubt.
Right.
But you overcame that. That said, you were timid and you were nervous when you first started. So like walk the audience through that journey, because I think it's important, because especially to see the coach you are now, it's like night and day.
Right. Okay. Well, the Yorba Linda Fit Body Bootcamp is where I'm at, as you know, and amazing coaches there. And so I did learn a lot from them. I remember starting as an intern coach and learning that there was a coach at the time, I think, or most Fit Bodies may have it, but a coach A and a coach B. Coach A being on the mic, cueing the exercises, watching the timer, giving motivational, verbal motivation over the mic, high energy. And I thought, not quite ready for that yet. So then there's Coach B, which I was more comfortable with, more hands-on with each individual client, giving motivation and encouragement individually, fixing form, still running around, having the energy, but there's no microphone involved, so it's not as formal. So I thought, okay, I can do this. Maybe I can just be Coach B all my life and never get on a microphone. But I remember the coach there, she would offer me the mic saying, are you ready for it yet? And no, not yet.
Like the facilitator at the time. She was trying to kind of prompt you into taking the mic, but you weren't just ready yet.
Yes, okay. Yeah, exactly. And she could sense, I think she was trying to encourage me, but didn't want me to feel too uncomfortable. So I remember one day, actually, the gal who introduced me to you guys, who I started becoming closer with after that, she was in the session. And the other clients, once the coach offered me, the other coach offered me the mic, they all kind of started cheering me on, and there was so much support there and so much love, and I thought, well, I can't not. I gotta give this a shot at some point. You're never gonna know unless you just go for it. And so I put the mic on, heard myself over the mic. It was a little bit nerve-wracking, but guess what? I didn't die. It was okay.
Yeah,
you know,
it was more than okay.
You start to grow little by little each time. And I remember I'd get nervous every single time I was on the mic after that. But every time, each time, it was just a little bit easier. So I knew that I was heading in the right direction. And before you know it, now it just seems so natural. And I couldn't imagine, you know, not having a microphone to be able to encourage just, you know, everybody at one time, pumping the room up. It's just a really great feeling. So I'm just thankful that I never let my fears get in the way, because going back to the day when she said, "Do you want me to give them your information?" I could have easily thought, "I'm too scared. Nope, I don't want to see where it goes because I'm too nervous." And to let fear get in the way like that, you don't know what you're capable of until you give it a go. So
totally. Well, that's such an awesome story. And it's interesting, when we added the mic system, this is a few years ago,
right.
you know, so at the time of this taping, but, you know, I can share with the audience, you know, our current coaching staff, not only from my locations, but across the brand, you know, very few coaches are excited to kind of get that mic and jump in, because it is that level of performance and all the eyes are on you, et cetera. Yeah. But I mean, was it fair to say that it adds so much more to the experience of the clients?
Oh, 100%, yes.
And what would you say, you know, the audience, you know, listening back at home, maybe they, you know, maybe they're interested in coaching, or they're looking to launch a business and they have someone in mind, they want to be a coach, but maybe it's like concern in getting that mic, getting on the mic. What would you say is your best recommendation for that coach, kind of in that, you know, still nervous time frame?
Honestly, I think that giving them the encouragement to just go for it, especially if you see the potential in them, because as you know, where I started, I remember you guys telling me you have the personality, you have the warmth, you have, you know, everything that you need to be a good coach. We could teach you how to coach. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely something that you can teach someone and they can grow in that process and in that experience. Yeah. So.
And just more time and attention, more reps.
Yeah, exactly. More reps, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so kind of big picture, if you could share the audience, what's it like day to day? Like, what's it like programming sessions? What's it like delivering sessions? What are the common, you know, questions and concerns that you get from clients? If you can kind of just give a 30,000-foot view to our audience of like what it's like, you know, basically being a coach and delivering, you know, the excellence in coaching on a daily basis.
Day to day. Programming was another thing for me that I was really nervous about.
Why?
But it's just because I had never created workouts for others before. Mm-hmm. And so, but being at Fit Body, even in my interning stage, I was opened up to so much. So I learned a lot about how to program workouts. I had great mentors. So that actually, after a little while, came pretty easy. Not easy, but you know, it just got a lot easier.
How long did it take you, would you say? And I know Coach Jen, who's active in our facility, been for a long
Very
time,
good
kind of help
yeah, big
you know,
time.
support you with that. But like, how long do you say before you got it?
Got very comfortable. Maybe about like 6 months. I mean, it took a little bit to fine tune, and because you have to take into account so many things. You know, there's timing, and maybe you're not spending enough time on an exercise to get a good burn, so you have to make sure your timing is appropriate for the exercises that you're doing, the format, rotation time. Just there's so many factors to take into consideration. So
now let me kind of take the step back. Do you think your dancing kind of background helped you with that? And the reason I say, when I'm looking at this and some of the coaches that we've had, some of the best coaches that we've had actually are theater majors, also athletic people in background that worked on teams and have coaches. And there's many others as well, but those are two things. So I was curious how you think like your dancing background potentially has served you in a coaching role.
I think it absolutely has. So and that's a good point. I used to teach dance also. It was more towards, you know, younger ones, maybe up until 10, 11, 12-year-olds. So it's a different vibe, obviously, when you're coming into a whole room full of adults that are relying on you to guide them through their fitness journey. But the coaching or teaching, mentoring aspect is still there. So I think that it definitely helped me in that way. However, dancing, I remember I never wanted to be the one to choreograph something. I always wanted to be the one to perform it and not so that goes kind of hand in hand with the, oh dear, now I have to create a workout.
The programming aspect.
Yeah.
And that's such an interesting point. I was just watching a case study. We did it for our other location, and the client, her name's Ashley, it's an awesome video, will be coming out, and she's like, I was athletic my whole life and I played sports and I did all the workouts, but I actually never programmed them myself. So when I got in the gym myself after my college career ended, I kind of was like, literally have no idea what to do. So it sounds like that's kind of a similar playbook for you.
Exactly, yeah. And I was concerned about programming challenging enough workouts and, being able to, because there's a whole array of people. You have someone who might be, has surgery or an injury or something that we have to cater to, and then you have your super fit people who are wanting the extra challenge. So it's also important to create workouts that you can kind of like a middle ground, and then you can either regress or progress an exercise.
Now let me ask you this, and it probably could be just repetition, but I'm curious to know more. And again, just hammering home on the compliment I gave you after Saturday's session, and I was blown away. I mean, you always do it, but I just we had some time to talk. But like, you're so clear, the clarity, the confidence in terms of when you are explaining and then demonstrating, if you have an on the mic or off the mic coach, is just so powerful. And you've come such a long way. How do you think you've really articulated? Do you have like a base for good public speaking, or do you think that was acquired through your journey as a coach?
Oh, I was a server too, and I remember being nervous approaching my very first table. Not that a table of 4 is the same as a room full of 30, plus clients, but I think it's definitely something that I acquired over it's been a little over 2 years of coaching now. Yeah. So, but it's amazing. Sometimes I'll just sit in the moment, and while I'm watching everybody work out, and I'm thinking, look at you doing this. Like, look at you coaching this room. You're totally calm. There's no nerves like how there was in the beginning.
Yeah. Do you still feel them internally, or have you just got to the point you feel very comfortable, you're good now?
Very comfortable, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So really what I'm trying to attract here is, if our audience is thinking either myself or a facilitator, I'm going to launch in there, maybe nervous, at the end of the day, it's time and attention, it's the repetitions, and if you do that, you get better.
100%. Yes.
Awesome. And get better you have, because man, I'm blown away just the progression.
Thank you. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, good. Well, I kind of diverged from my last question, but in terms of coaching clients, like what would you say is, the common questions, concerns, issues they have? Because not only are you coaching the mats, you also do strategy sessions to help them with their goals and nutrition. So can you talk a little bit about just your experience working with clients, some of the questions, comments, concerns they've had? Because I think it's a value to our audience who maybe haven't trained a client before.
Definitely. And first off, as you know, we're not just their personal trainers, we're also their therapists, their friends, their confidants, they like to vent to us, and we're here to listen. We're actually in the middle of a challenge right now, and I would say across the board, the most common concern is, what do I eat? What am I supposed to be eating? Am I getting enough protein? Because more often than not, they are not getting enough protein, which is a huge thing. Actually, we have a brand new client who came to me the other day, and she was trying to stay under 25 carbs a day. And I thought, well, now you're adding these workouts in, that's probably not gonna, no, I get it with the low carb situation, whatever, but I just started to explain to her that you need the fuel, that your body's going to use the carbs for the workouts, and then getting the protein in, enough protein in, but also at the right times, right after a workout or within about 30 minutes of a workout. Nutrition is a big one. We get a lot of questions about nutrition. Yeah.
And specifically in nutrition, because you do the coaching for the challenges, but you're also a coach on the global Fit Body page as well. So maybe some of the questions are similar, but how are the questions there different, or are they more nutrition based? I just want to give the audience visibility, like what type of questions that their clients will be asking.
They ask a lot of, what's a good substitution for, pretty much anything out there that you like. I actually just shared the other day about like a substitution for soy sauce. It's the coconut aminos, so that's a much healthier option. Then so they ask a lot about like different options for different things to make meals a little bit healthier. They ask for meal, especially in the global group. a lot about like, can you guys share meal ideas or snack ideas for protein? Everyone's looking on how to get more protein into their diet because they know that they're not getting enough. Their coaches are pushing them, apparently we all are pushing them on the same topics, and that's protein because we don't get enough, but we try to. We know the rules, but most people don't get enough protein, so they're asking about recommendations for snacks for protein and meal prepping and there's a lot of support on the global group, which I love. There's a lot of, clients are sharing things, coaches are sharing things, owners are sharing things. So a lot to be learned on that group.
So the community is very helpful as well.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right, so it's kind of continuing out the coaching experience. What would you say are the biggest highlights, like that you seek so much fulfillment from? And then also too, the good, bad, and the bad, the ugly. Like, what are the biggest challenging parts of being a coach? And I think it's important to kind of portray that dichotomy, just again, so our audience knows exactly what they're getting into, right? Like the moments they're going to be so fulfilled and so excited, and also too some of the challenges so they can prepare. Can you give us some insight there?
Some of the major positives, there's nothing like the feeling when a client comes to you, especially one that you've kind of grown a relationship with, and they come to you and they say, I reached my goal, whether that's I met that 10-pound mark. I was trying to lose 10 pounds and I finally dropped 10 pounds. Or I did a pull-up. I'm actually working with a client right now whose goal it's to do a pull-up. So I'm showing her the resistance bands and she's slowly progressing through the resistance bands. So that's just really awesome to see. Or, cutting the running time down, by 2 minutes on their couple mile long run. Oh, nice. So seeing all those transformations, weight loss on the scale and the non-scale victories are just, it's just the best feeling knowing that. And then they come to you saying, I'm so grateful for you. It's just like, I could cry thinking about it, but it's such an amazing thing to be able to call this our job. It doesn't feel like a job. It feels like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is my calling.
That's your calling. Well, in our mission at the company, our company is to inspire fitness and change lives every day. And would it be fair to say, like, from your interactions with clients, like what they pour into you, that you change lives?
Yeah, definitely. And then on the other side of that, I know you asked what are the challenging parts of coaching day to day. Going along with that, there's a lot of struggles. They hit walls, and that's when you start to become their therapist and their confidant. And sometimes there are tears. There's a lot of frustration, and they may be doing everything right, and you just kind of have to tell them, trust the process. They see their buddy, dropping pounds or inches quicker, especially during a challenge, and they're not quite moving as fast. Just the encouragement, giving them encouragement, letting them know, everybody's journey is going to be different. Mm-hmm. You have to use that as motivation around you and inspiration, but you have to focus on, this is my lane, this is my pace. I see improvements, and focus on the improvements too, because sometimes it's hard to look at the little improvements when you feel overwhelmed with, I guess, more of the negative stuff. Like, I don't see the scale moving, which could be an easy, well, your body fat, your body composition could be changing, so don't ever rely on the scale.
Totally.
That's another, I think, a big one. They say the scale's not moving, they panic, and then you kind of talk them off the ledge, and they go, okay, you're right. But
well, that's so important, and for my particular story, and when I first got in the fitness industry, I was 20 pounds overweight.
Right.
But actually, when I did my transformation, which is early 2007, I actually started and finished the same weight. My body composition of muscle and fat had changed. I look completely different, but actually I weighed 185 in both pictures. So to your point, how many times do clients, kind of talk about that when really they're actually seeing differences? Oh,
yeah. Oh, very, very often. And then you'll ask them, how are you feeling? How are your clothes fitting? Well, my clothes are a little bit looser. Better. Okay. Yeah. Then that's all. That's what we want to focus on. Don't worry about that number on the scale. And then it usually, that aspect, that side of it, they'll calm down a little bit after that. But there are a lot of challenges that come with it too, emotionally, mentally.
What about waking up early?
Okay,
that comes to mind as well, and I feel like you take it to another level, Alicia. At least from our conversations, that you wake up even earlier than you need to. But what's that look like?
I push it to that.
You push it. Okay.
I remember when I had the interview before I started, I was like, you want me to wake up at what time? I'm sorry. But I didn't know the world existed before 6 a.m. on a weekday, and even that's early. But I set my alarm for 3:45. And it's funny, your body adjusts. My goal is to get on the days that I have to be up early to coach, which is
how many days?
Well, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm up at 3:45.
Okay.
Thursdays, since I go in a little bit later, I don't get up quite as early. That's like 6:30 is great. That's sleeping in.
Nice.
And then 5:45 on Saturdays, again, that's sleeping in. But the early days, 3 times a week, and it was 4, so the three times
That's
I think
good.
was a good balance. And it definitely, I try to get 6 hours of sleep on the nights because it's hard you can go to bed at 7 o'clock,
right.
7:30. Plus, if you're coaching in the evening, you got to come home, wind down, have some dinner.
Yep.
So the schedule is we do live we just have very weird schedules as coaches.
Unorthodox, right? Just because we're training while, our clients are at work.
Their hours
right?
are before work, after work. That's, again, your body adjusts, and I think I would still 100 times over, 1,000 times over, choose this over like a normal, being able to sleep till 6:30 and going to the office and having a normal sit down at a desk all day job. Not that there's anything wrong with those,
right.
But I went through it, I did it, and then this is just so much more fulfilling for me, even with the lack of sleep. I catch up with a nap. I do, in the middle of the day usually.
There you go. Well, one of the things we were talking about, and your schedule shifted from 3 earlies down to 4, because on Thursday mornings you come in a bit later. Mm-hmm. Why do you come in later? What sort of clients do you see there? And really I guess I'm leading the witness here, but want to talk about Fit Body Forever.
Right.
So can you shed some insight there?
Right. So our Fit Body Forever crew, our seniors, the older crew, oh gosh, they're so amazing. What
are the ages in that?
I would say late 50s to, we have Tina, she's 74, 75.
I'm very proud of that as well.
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh,
looks
yeah.
Incredible.
And then there's Yogi, who used to be a Fit Body Forever client, but now she comes to 5:15 a.m. every morning, Monday through Friday. Super strong. She's goals, for when I'm that old. But
so what's it like training the Fit Body Forever crowd, and then what's the differences between boot camp and Fit Body Forever? I think it'd just be good to shed some insight there.
The Fit Body Forever crowd, they're so, we all have the positivity, we're all, warm and fuzzy, we all have our moments, but they just seem to be that way 24/7. Maybe it's because they're retired and they don't have to worry about life, but they're always just so positive. Their form is always great. And I always tell them that, and they'll tell me, well, it's because we can't afford to have bad form. We need to take care of our bodies. We're not young anymore, and so they always have great form. They're very easy to coach, easygoing, so much fun, a lot of laughter. They're just a really great crew.
One of the common misconceptions, especially people in fitness, are like, the mature clients who are 55, 60 plus, like we can't work them too hard, they're frail and all that. Like, what would your response to be that kind of question or concern, if you will? Right.
You'd be surprised. They've come up. Sure, they start out, and we did just come back for them from COVID. They've been out for an entire year, a little over a year, maybe. Yeah. So they just came back to us, and that was like a whole party. So we kind of started from scratch a little bit, but it's coming back now, the muscle memory. But to answer your question, they're pretty resilient, and once they get going, once they've been on a streak of, a couple years before COVID, they're doing, shame on us sometimes for thinking that they can't maybe do what we think they can do, but they can. They know how to push their limits. They know how to listen to their bodies. But as far as like coaching them, we do typically may keep like a normal boot camp workout, but maybe we'll lessen the reps for the time frame, or we'll give them more rest between stations or exercises. So that's really the only way it differs. We do try to avoid a lot of things that could be strenuous on the back because that could be sensitive for them, but they can pretty much do, yeah, everything else in there.
And that's really, I mean, from my obviously experience working with this crowd and yours as well, and I think that's a misconception many times, but I think it's a really good point to kind of bring out that this clientele, I mean, they're amazing, right? They, love life, they love coaching, and they're really committed to the program, probably different, even at a different level than boot camp clients. And you can push them. I mean, certainly you want to be responsible, right, when you're programming, but at the end of the day, you can push them. They can do a lot more than we think we can.
Oh yeah. So. They're a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right, so kind of unpacking this was a lot, but want to share with the audience your perspective on coaching and really what makes a great coach. So not only from your perspective, but also to the coaches that have been involved in our facility, what would you say is the common 2 or 3 characteristics of like really good coaches? And that's important to kind of showcase to our audience so they know what to look for when they're hiring their facility leaders and when they're coaching team. So what would you say from your perspective are a few really strong qualities that a coach should possess?
Right, and as you know, everyone having something different that they bring to the table makes like a strong team. As far as just individual coaches, definitely being personable and in tune with people's needs. Everyone's different. People like to be motivated differently. Some people really like to be pushed. Some people are like, just, I'm good. You can keep your space a little bit. Let's see, what else is there? Of course, leading by example. They want to know like your experiences too, and what do you eat? They're always curious about like the things that you do on your own time because you're the coach, so you've got to be perfect, right? And we're vulnerable with them. They know that we're not perfect, but that we do, strive to lead by example and give the appropriate recommendations and building relationships with client. That
was actually I was going to ask you, like, what about relationships? You took it out of my mouth. So actually, can you spend a little bit of time actually and just talk about the value of that?
Oh yeah. So when I first started, one of the big things was for me to learn everybody's names. And there's a lot of people. So it can be challenging. One day you'll remember this name, and then the next day you won't remember that name, but you'll remember this name. And so it comes with time. But building those relationships, they begin to really trust you. They see you as a friend, they see you as a mentor, and that's when I think the magic happens, when they know that they have somebody with them that they can trust, and that whatever information you're giving them, whether it's nutritional information, exercises, how to modify, how to stretch, foam roll, just the benefits of all these things, it really makes a huge difference because, as you know, you go to the big box gyms and they don't know your name. Your name's in the system. Your number in the system. There's none of that. None of the relationship side, like that you get with that side as you would get with like a Fit Body Bootcamp facility. So,
well, one thing that you just pointed out, and it's interesting, me being a little removed from coaching, because when I look at it from my perspective, the value of the relationship is just the energy, the enthusiasm, the feeling, the culture in the facility. Like when you walk in like a vibrant place, it's like you want to be there, right? And let's face it, working out is not easy. It's tough. So it's our job to create like this ambiance, this environment that's fun, that's uplifting and motivating. That's how I think of it. But I forgot about the other aspect. It's been a while. You even talked about building trust with that client, so then they're actually more willing to take your coaching. So that's a really interesting point. That is just a good memory, reminder for me as well.
Right, and that you're kind of their role model. You need to make sure that you're, on point. No matter what you're feeling outside, if there's stress, if there's anything else, you don't bring that in. You just, you're there to be their everything, pretty much, like their coach, their mentor, their
supporter, their therapy sessions, everything. So, very good. So, kind of walking through, the coaching lens a little bit more. what would you say, like one of the things that you talked about here a second ago was like the value of working in a team, like, that important. So how is it working with a team? Like, what's your experience been like? And I guess if you can just talk a little bit about the importance, especially for the audience back home when they're thinking, okay, I want to start a fitness facility, I got to maybe hire some coaches, a facilitator, but really actually you have to orchestrate a team because they're, to your point, there's value in having different aspects and different personalities and styles of coaching because it kind of creates a whole blend. So can you talk a little bit about the value of working as a team and kind of the importance of it?
I think that at our facility, we have a really great mix of personalities and like we have, Coach Jen, she's very, very strong. She has a presence about herself that'll just make you want to work harder. All she has to be doing is standing right next to you, and that client is 100% on it. And then, like myself, I think my superpower, if you will, is the soft and because they call me just the sweet coach, You
so are.
That's a compliment. Thank you. I think that's very, very sweet of them that they have that name for me. Yet, apparently I can still deliver. They've called me the Beastmaster too.
The Beastmaster.
Which I think is hilarious. Doesn't really go with my personality, but I think that's fun. How I'm the sweet one, and they believe that I can deliver a great workout. So. I think that, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but they've mentioned, she just has a soft way about her. You don't feel intimidated or anything like that. And like I said, I've always been a people person. Like community and lifting others up, and it's amazing because I've really formed a lot of like really great relationships, friendships with the coaches, with the clients, and it's just a nice environment. But yeah, about the team, everybody does have a different thing that they bring to the table, a different strength, whether it's, on the admin side, holding things together for us, attention to detail, so
programming, communication,
exactly. And I've learned my programming from them, so
awesome.
a little bit of all of them.
Alicia, this has been awesome. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. I know you've delivered so much value, but I want to transition to the lightning round, if you will, just to basically allow our audience to extract some last piece of wisdom before you shoot for today. You up for that?
Yes.
All right. So first question, you kind of talked about it, but if you can drill a little bit further, your superpower, your zone of genius, you talked about your connectivity, but can you, dive in a little bit more about your zone of genius? Like why has Alicia why have you done so well in a short period of time?
Okay. Definitely. Yeah. I've never liked negativity or confrontation or anything like that. So I've just always been easy. I get along with everybody. Very easygoing, so I think that's helped me. Just my personality has helped me to become a successful coach. And there's more to that. I'm sorry.
No, I think that was it. And I just wanted to kind of articulate a little bit more. But I would say the learning lesson there is the likability factor, right? Because you can be the best coach, technical coach, create the best workout program in the world. But if you can't develop that relationship, if you can't connect with that person, they're not going to trust you. They're not going to take your coaching, and you're not going to change their life. So I think that likability, that connectivity, that relationship is huge.
And I think you guys have done an excellent job in when you're selecting your coaches, because everybody has such a great relationship with all the clients, and the clients right back, it reciprocates back. So
well, it's so important being in the relationship business.
Yeah.
So blessed to have you, Alicia.
Oh, thank you.
Next question, what would you, from passion perspective, and I feel like fitness people are passionate, and certainly you are as well, what would be one big source of passion that you're most passionate about these days, and why? Helping others,
100%. That's probably what I'm most passionate about. Whether it's just, in life, in nutrition and fitness, all the way across the board, I think. That's probably my biggest.
Next up for you, you're in the business of giving great coaching advice, nutrition advice, advice to help your clients, ultimately live a better quality of life. What would you say is one of the best pieces of advice that you've been ever given?
Honestly, it probably was to take the time to get to know the clients, know their needs, their triggers. That's another one. And just to, take the time to get to know them so that you know how to help them. You can't just help everybody the exact same way. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. They're going to require different kinds of attention, different kinds of motivation.
And when you say the trigger, what did you mean by that?
So I guess talking about like nutrition and stuff, I'll usually want to dive in with the clients about like, what are your triggers? Like what, if nutrition is something that you struggle with, tell me what your triggers are. And they'll say, well, if I have it in the house, then I'm going to eat it. Well, then guess what? At least during the challenge, yeah, you got it. Yeah, that's because, you know, if you have the willpower to see it and walk away, great. Me, if there's a cookie, I want it.
I'm with you there, so.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome advice. Last couple of questions for you, Miss Alicia. Leaders are readers, and you know our audience, you know, is in the personal development space, want to be better. What would you say has been an awesome book recommendation or a book that you've read that you would recommend to our audience, and why? Okay,
I do have to say I know exactly which one I want to choose, but I do have to say that it's mainly geared towards the ladies, and many of you ladies may have already heard of it. It's called Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis, and Rachel Hollis is a motivational speaker, and I was lucky enough to be able to hear her speak one time in person. It was amazing. The book is just so, it makes you want to like run head first at the world. I can conquer anything after reading that. So it just kind of, I think the line on the front of the book reads something like, don't listen to the lies about yourself so that you can become who you were meant to be, or don't listen to the lies about who you are so that you can become who you were meant to be. And I relate that to when I was going to start my journey, thinking like, oh, you telling myself, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can, you know, coach a room full of people. Don't listen to it, because guess what? You know, you never know what you're capable of unless you believe in yourself and actually go for it. And that applies to clients, that applies to coaches, that applies to owners, that, you know, everybody. So
that's awesome. Well said. All right, this was a lot, and I'm going to ask for your last piece of parting wisdom for our audience to better their coaching, better their fitness, better their entrepreneurial mindset. What would be, you know, and actually reframing it, if you could actually give the younger version of yourself one piece of advice or wisdom before you jumped in your coaching journey, what would that be? And I know that's so valuable for our audience listening.
Two things actually. Don't be afraid to jump out of your comfort zone, to just go for it. You may be pleasantly surprised how much you grow, how much you learn, how much you progress. And then just always be present with, you know, when you're coaching with your clients, one-on-one, in a group, whatever it may be, with your team. I think you just get the most out of it that way.
Beautiful. Well said. Well, Alicia, this has been awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, it has been great.
This has been such a good time. I do want to acknowledge you for a second. Before I do, for our audience wanting to connect with you, maybe for some fitness advice, nutrition advice, or actually connecting you about your skincare business, where can they find you?
Like social media platforms?
Yeah, or
is that okay?
What's the best? Probably social media would be best.
I think that I'm on Instagram most often. I don't go on Facebook too much, but my handle is Alicia Fulla Joy. And Joy is my middle name, and it just, you know, kind of worked perfectly, but that's ALICIAFULLAJOY.
Love it. You can find Alicia there, and the running joke is, you know, you are such a joyful person, and for the longest time, I knew that was your handle. I didn't know that was your middle name. So your mom and dad just did extremely well on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And before we go, I just wanted to take a second to thank you, acknowledge you, just for you showing up, being who you are, how nice of a person you are, how kind of a person you are. I can tell you it's just been so gratifying and a pleasure, a privilege to work along with you for these last couple years.
Yeah, definitely.
The value you've brought to our team, our clients, our whole community is second to none. And it's just been so inspiring to see you develop to such a world-class coach that you are today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Definitely blessed. Yeah.
You are certainly welcome. Well, thanks again. And for you viewers at home, I know you had an incredible episode, gained a lot of value. If you'd be so kind, assuming that you did get value today, go ahead and like and subscribe on YouTube and write us a 5-star review on iTunes to help us be able to produce this content continuously for free. So that's all again. Alicia, thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
You guys have a great day.